for two police officers in Virginia. Dramatic dash cam video showing them on the scene of an accident. One officer suddenly grabbing the other, pulling her out of the way of an out-of-control car as that car slams into their police SUV. Luckily, no one was badly hurt. The legal battle in Texas as a federal judge blocks the state's controversial law banning most abortions after 6 weeks. The judge blasting the law, writing that defending constitutional rights is always in the public interest. Texas now appealing that ruling, likely moving the case one step closer to the Supreme Court. We'll break down what may happen next and what it means for women in Texas. Pfizer officially requesting the FDA authorize its COVID vaccine for children 5 to 11 years of age, submitting its data showing the vaccine is safe for young kids. A decision is expected by November, with hopes that up to 28 million more people here in the U.S. will have access to a COVID shot by the holidays this year. Senate Democrats and Republicans reach a short-term deal to raise the debt ceiling until early December, avoiding an economic catastrophe. But does this merely kick the can down the road? And as Democrats hope to renew their focus on President Biden's infrastructure agenda, can they come together on a final deal in the coming weeks? We'll speak with Democratic Senator Mark Warner. New developments tonight into the devastating oil leak off the coast of California. The company operating the ruptured pipeline is now under criminal investigation, and authorities today boarding a massive German cargo ship that had operated in the area, as newly released video shows the 13-inch gash in the pipeline. We'll have the latest. And 3 years after the most destructive fire in California history, we meet the climate nomads, part of an increasing number of people forced out of their homes because of climate change, including one family who lived in the wilderness for months. Also, their kids could stay at their school.
A lot of their friends have left and not come back, which is kind of hard for them. But it's just, this is where home is.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Phil Lipoff in Tonight for Lindsay Davis. We begin at this hour with the fallout from that blistering injunction issued by a federal judge halting enforcement of the Texas law that effectively bans most abortions in America's second largest state. The judge calling the law an unprecedented and transparent statutory scheme. Judge Robert Pittman making his position very clear, saying, quote, "This court will not sanction one more day of this offensive deprivation of such an important right." The law, known as SB 8, had been in effect since the beginning of September after the Supreme Court declined to block the law, fueling protests and effectively shuttering clinics all throughout the state. Texas has appealed Judge Pittman's ruling, setting up another possible showdown, this time at the Supreme Court. Right now, though, there is word some Texas clinics resume providing abortions today. Rachel Scott leads us off tonight with a woman who traveled hundreds of miles out of state to find a clinic.
Tonight in Texas, supporters of abortion rights cheering the federal judge's ruling, putting a temporary hold on the most restrictive abortion law in the land.
We reached out to some of the patients that we had on a waiting list to come in to have abortions today.
The law bans abortion after about 6 weeks of pregnancy, and it deputizes everyday citizens to file lawsuits against anyone they say aids or abets an abortion, from the doctor who performs the procedure to the Uber driver who takes the woman to a clinic. And if they win, they get a bounty of at least $10,000. But now as legal challenges make their way through the courts, Judge Robert Pittman putting the law on pause, ruling that because of its unprecedented and aggressive scheme, women have been unlawfully prevented from exercising control over their lives in ways that are protected by the Constitution. And since the law went into effect, most Texas women seeking abortions have had to leave the state to get one. I sat down with Maddie, a 21-year-old college student, the day before she traveled to Mississippi for the procedure.
At 6 weeks, you didn't even know you were pregnant.
Not even close. I was still living my life as regular and as carefree of a college kid as I could be.
She was on birth control, but by the time she took a pregnancy test and went to the doctor, it was too late to get an abortion under Texas law.
When she told me that I was measuring at 10.5 weeks, I just cried. I was heartbroken.
Did it sink in that moment that you would have to travel hundreds of miles to get an abortion procedure if you wanted to?
Yeah. The minute that they said how far along I was, I knew that this became 100 times more difficult, more expensive, and more time-consuming.
Maddie started calling around to clinics in nearby states.
How many clinics would you say you called altogether?
Easily 30, if not more.
And most of them were booked.
Yeah.
She finally got an appointment in Mississippi. But when she got there, she was told the state has a mandatory waiting period. She had to go back to Texas and return to Mississippi the following week for the actual procedure. 2 separate trips.
What message do you have for the Texas lawmakers who backed this law?
My body is not their property. They should have no say in what I do with myself. I am in charge of myself in every possible way.
Rachel Scott joins us now from Houston. Rachel, the law is on pause for now, but the state of Texas is planning to appeal this judge's decision.
That's exactly right, Phil. The Texas Attorney General says this boils down to the sanctity of human life. He is going to appeal this to the Fifth Circuit. That is known to be one of the most conservative courts in the country. It could find itself in front of the Supreme Court. And I can tell you, I've talked to several abortion providers today. Even now, they say they are hesitant to fully resume abortion procedures. One telling me today they just cannot afford to take that chance. And I just had an opportunity to actually just catch up with Maddie. She's back from Mississippi. I asked her how she was feeling. She said she is relieved. I asked her if she had any regrets. She said none. Phil?
Rachel Scott, thank you. For more on all of this now, let's bring in ABC News contributor and Cardozo law professor Kate Shaw. Kate, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so the Texas federal judge was blistering in his attack of this abortion law. What struck you the most in his ruling?
Well, that's right, Phil. It was a blistering opinion. I was struck by its length. So this was 113 pages long, and its speed. The judge wrote this opinion in 5 days. The argument happened Friday. We had the opinion Wednesday night. You know, it really stood in contrast to the Supreme Court's 1-paragraph order allowing the law to go into effect just over a month ago on September 1st. Fast forward 5 weeks and in a different lawsuit, and you have this district court take a very good look at the case, at the law, and basically say Texas is not only flagrantly violating the constitutional rights of its citizens. The Supreme Court has said the Constitution protects a right to choose to terminate or to carry to term a pregnancy, so long as it is prior to fetal viability. So, you know, about 24 weeks of pregnancy. This ban kicks in at 6 weeks. So is completely inconsistent with the Supreme Court's cases announcing and sort of articulating this right to decide to terminate a pregnancy. But not only is the law substantively unconstitutional, it's almost diabolical in the way it has been crafted to evade judicial review. This is what the judge said. Texas has deliberately tried to keep courts out of the business of weighing in on the constitutionality of its law, and I just can't let it stand. You know, Texas citizens won't go another day under this unconstitutional law is essentially the note the opinion ended on.
Last month, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to block the laws, you know, which set up this battle. So how come a federal judge who's lower on the judicial ladder was able to pause it?
No, that's right. So about a month ago, the court let the law go into effect, didn't intercede in a case brought by clinics that challenged the law's constitutionality. So fast forward to a month later, and the case that was brought and resulted in yesterday's opinion was actually brought by the federal government, right? So basically, the federal government, after seeing the Supreme Court's unwillingness to step in, said, we, the United States, have an interest in ensuring the constitutional rights of all citizens are protected and that a state government cannot step in and again, flagrantly violate the rights of its citizens. So this is a suit brought by the United States, the Biden Justice Department, or Garland's Department of Justice, and basically making the same arguments that the clinics were making, that the law is unconstitutional. But of course, it's a different plaintiff now, right? It's the federal government. And so the district court basically said the federal government has a right to be in this court, and the federal government is right that this law violates the Constitution. So we'll see if the Fifth Circuit and the Supreme Court agree with what the district court has written, both about the federal government's right to be in court in the first place and about the substantive constitutionality of the Texas law.
So if right now, as we're speaking, the law is paused, explain to us why Texas women who want abortion services are still in limbo.
Absolutely, they are still in limbo. So the law has a bunch of different provisions. One of the provisions of the law basically says, even if you relied on a judicial ruling, so if you're a defendant, say you've been sued for violating the law, it is no defense to say that a court struck the law down, found the law unconstitutional if a later court reverses that ruling, right? So even if the Texas clinics are acting perfectly lawfully under what this federal district court has ruled, if the Fifth Circuit later disagrees or the Supreme Court later disagrees, that removes their ability to offer as a defense that they were acting consistently with the law as interpreted by this federal district court. All that said, it sounds as though at least some providers on the ground have already begun providing abortion care that would violate this law, SB 8. So although certainly some providers seem to be too concerned about the potential liability risks of proceeding with offering abortion care beyond 6 weeks of pregnancy, at least some in the state have today said publicly that they are beginning to resume offering the same care they provided before this law went into effect. But of course, they are only able to do that unless and until the Fifth Circuit or the Supreme Court steps in and potentially reverses the district court. I think everyone thinks there's a very good chance the Fifth Circuit will not let this ruling stand, at least indefinitely.
Finally, Kate, I'm curious, if that's the case and it goes to the Supreme Court, how long do you think this could take, and what happens to Roe?
Well, the case could be up before the Supreme Court very quickly. The court already has in front of it a case out of Mississippi challenging a 15-week abortion ban that's scheduled for argument December 1st. So it seems unlikely that this Texas case could be in front of the court before December 1st, but it's not inconceivable it could arrive around the same time. The court could even potentially consolidate the two cases and hear them together. So certainly by the end of this term, I think the Supreme Court will have weighed in on both this Mississippi law and the Texas law. So that's by about June or July at the latest. And what happens to Roe? I mean, I think that Roe as we know it will likely not endure beyond the end of the Supreme Court's term. Whether the court overturns Roe outright or really narrows the scope of the constitutional right to abortion, I think is the big question. It could say we're not going to overrule Roe. There is some constitutional protection for abortion rights, but a state can prohibit abortion after, say, 15 weeks of pregnancy. That would really reduce the availability of abortion to basically just the first trimester of pregnancy. So I think that's entirely possible. And if that's the case, maybe another term or two, and the court could actually overturn Roe outright. But at least if the Supreme Court's composition doesn't change, it seems to me that Roe as the law of the land is likely to remain, in effect as, only for at most the next couple of years. But I think it's probably not long for this world.
Kate Shaw, thank you for the expertise and for the conversation tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure to tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. right after ABC News Prime for our 30-minute special, America's Abortion Battle, anchored by Lindsay Davis. Big news for parents tonight as children ages 5 through 11 may be one step closer to getting a COVID-19 vaccine. This, as the CDC is also warning Americans about a potentially intense flu season. ABC's Ariel Reshef has the details.
Tonight, a critical step on the road to vaccinating younger children. Pfizer asking for emergency authorization for 5 to 11-year-olds after reporting the shots were safe and generated a robust antibody response with 1/3 of the adult dose.
Immune response or protection that you get from the vaccine appears to be just as good as it is in adolescents and young adults.
Side effects similar too, like fever, headache, and sore arm. All eyes now on an FDA panel, which will review the data on October 26th. And within days, the CDC could sign off on the vaccine for 28 million more children.
After everything is reviewed and it looks good, I'm hopeful that we'll see something in November.
9-year-old Luke Moore wanted to join the Pfizer trial after his parents and friends volunteered.
Honestly, I don't really think it's gonna be like dangerous, and also I feel good about it.
For many parents, the vaccine can't come soon enough. Nearly 5.9 million kids have been infected with COVID. Now, a new study looks at the heavy burden many children are also facing. An estimated 140,000 have lost a parent or caregiver to the virus. Families of color hit hardest. In Pennsylvania, 30-year-old Alan Brown left behind a wife and 4 children.
I'm 30 years old and I'm a widow. You don't hear that.
Alan's family says he changed his mind about the vaccine, but it was too late. They want others to get vaccinated.
Particularly in the African-American community who are not listening and don't believe that this is real. This is real. My grandchildren lost their father. This is real.
But tonight, the CDC is warning of the potential for severe flu this season. Americans have little immunity after very few cases last year.
Get a COVID-19 vaccine as soon as you can, and ideally get a flu vaccine by the end of October. Flu and COVID-19 vaccines can be given at the same visit.
And late today in Chicago, the president making the case vaccine mandates are working.
My message is require your employees to get vaccinated. With vaccinations, we're going to beat this pandemic finally. Without them, we face endless months of chaos in our hospitals, damage to our economy, and anxiety in our schools.
Ariel joins us now. And Ariel, authorization for the Pfizer vaccine in younger children, as you say, could come soon after that key FDA meeting at the end of the month. But then how long until kids could actually see shots going into their arms?
Well, Phil, just like for adults, these children will need 2 shots 3 weeks apart. Then it takes another 2 weeks for them to be considered fully vaccinated. So it's likely this age group won't be fully vaccinated until after Thanksgiving at the earliest. Phil?
Ariel, thank you. On Capitol Hill, weeks of fighting over the government's ability to pay its bills coming to an end. The Senate reaching an agreement to raise the debt ceiling until December, which is also when the government funds run out. ABC's senior national correspondent Terry Moran is here joining us now. Terry, does this deal solve any problems in Washington, or does it just compound them?
Kicks them down the road, just as you said, Phil. I mean, you captured it perfectly. So after weeks of bickering and a pretty messy day today with a lot of back and forth, even with that looming threat of the government defaulting on the nation's debt, in the end, it's expected the Senate votes to raise the debt ceiling by $480 billion. But that is a temporary solution because that amount of money will only allow the government to pay its debts through around December 3rd, around the time that the government runs out of money to run its operations. All those things colliding means we'll be back doing the same thing again around that time. Now, the problem has been that Republicans, the majority of Republicans in the Senate and the House, the overwhelming majority, are using the threat of a government shutdown and even the threat of a default on the nation's debt as leverage against President Biden's spending priorities. They think he's spending too much money, and they are willing to go to the wire on that. So there is some suspense tonight and going forward because they are determined to gain political mileage out of this and also to do their best to block those spending priorities. Now, on the flip side, what happens when the government gets close to defaulting on its debt is Republicans and Democrats hear from business leaders who are freaking out over the potential economic catastrophe that would happen. And that, in the end, is really what got Mitch McConnell to back down a little bit. Also, the political threat that Republicans would be blamed. It's brinksmanship, playing with the economic destiny of the nation. But it's business as usual here. So that's what's happening today and probably in December as well. Phil?
A lot to break down. Thank you for it, Terry.
Thanks.
Joining us now is Senator Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee and a member of the Senate Budget Committee. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Democrats have accepted Republicans' offer to bring up a short-term lift of the debt ceiling to allow the government to pay its bills at least through December 3rd. This could set up, as you know, another showdown over the holidays when Congress also has to fund the government. So why not figure out a way to do this now instead of kicking the can down the road?
Well, Phil, you're right. We should have figured out a way to do it now. But what the Republicans were trying to do was force us to use a kind of arcane process called reconciliation that would have taken about 2 weeks. And the problem when you get close to violating the full trust and confidence of the American government in terms of the debt ceiling is that you could have had any one of the rating agencies put our country, in a sense, on credit watch anytime over the next few days. And the absurdity of that would be, that would have been enormous harm to our economy. So we were in very dangerous ground. Clearly, we're going to revisit this in December, but we ought to go ahead and move it till after the next election. We don't know who's going to be in control of the Congress after the next election. We ought to, at that point, get rid of this whole debt ceiling. There is no other industrial country in the world that has such a potentially divisive and self-inflicted wound.
And now that we have some sort of breathing room here, will Democrats take up this issue earlier by starting the budget process that could allow you to pass this with Democratic votes? Or do you think the Senate will be stuck in the same game of chicken at the end of November?
Well, there have been plenty of other times, or most of the time, let's look back under President Trump. We raised the debt ceiling 3 times. Each time was done in a broadly bipartisan way. Again, both sides have run up this debt under President Trump. The monies that we're spending now, most of this, the debt ceiling that needs to be dealt with, are funds that were expended under President Trump by both Democrats and Republicans. Usually there is this joint responsibility. This has now been politicized by Leader McConnell. So when we come to December, I think we will start earlier to say how we don't get into this danger zone. Again, my hope is we can include a elimination of this, frankly, crazy requirement because it is nothing but a political tool used by both parties to extract a pound of flesh without a meaningful policy debate. So particularly when the effect, if we were to violate the debt ceiling, if we were put into jeopardy the full faith and credit of the United States, it would have both national security and hugely catastrophic economic consequences.
I do want to ask you about the ongoing talks over President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. What do you make of Senator Manchin insisting this week that this package has to be downsized? I mean, already you've said the $3.5 trillion package falls short on housing assistance.
Well, I think the truth is that we're going to get this package through with 50 votes, we're going to need Senator Manchin. And Senator Manchin and I are good friends. I think we're going to see this package probably come in a lot closer to $2 trillion than $3.5 trillion. That being said, I hope we will, frankly, narrow some of the areas so that we really deliver for the American public, whether it's in bringing down drug prices, whether it's providing child care, whether it's providing more affordable housing. Let's try to do a few things well. The original proposal was extraordinarily broad. There were close to 15 new initiatives. That would have been hard no matter how much money we would have committed. So at a smaller package, let's come together, the Democrats in the Senate pass this and allow as well then the passage of something that I was very involved in, the bipartisan infrastructure bill that does have broad-based Republican support as well, because that one is actually even more popular than what we're talking about on the Build Back Better agenda.
Right, juggling a lot in Washington these days. I want to ask you, do you feel like your moderate colleagues, Senator Manchin and Sinema, have too much power at the moment? I mean, Senator McConnell called them directly the other day. We understand.
Listen, this is about democracy. We've got 50 votes. I think my friend Joe Manchin said to some folks, well, progressives should go out and elect more senators. With 50 votes, every one person can allow things to move forward or stop them. So as somebody that is on the Finance Committee and on the Budget Committee in the midst of all these negotiations, I think we'll get there. Listen, I would have much rather have had even done the child care issue, the bringing down drug cost issue, the issue around paid family medical leave or around affordable housing. I wish we could have done that in a bipartisan way. I wish my Republican colleagues would have helped us on that, because I think then that would take away any one senator's maybe too much excessive power.
Investigators into the January 6th Capitol riot. As a committee chairman, you're a committee chairman, what is your response to reports that President Trump's top aides are going to defy House subpoenas and records and documents related to January 6th?
As someone who was on the floor of the Senate on January 6th when the insurrectionists took over the Capitol, the idea that former President Trump is trying to still direct his minions to not adhere to legal subpoenas shows his disrespect for the law. It shows his disrespect for democracy. And it shows, again, if Donald Trump didn't have his hands and fingerprints all over the insurrection of January 6th, why wouldn't he let his aides testify? I think when the facts fully come out, you will see that Trump was not only urging them on in his speechifying on January 6th, but probably was more deeply involved than even some of us can imagine.
All right, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, a lot to talk about, a lot going on in Washington, a lot of important issues for the American people, everybody hoping Democrats and Republicans can get together on some of it. Thanks so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil.
Now to the deadly flooding in Alabama. At least 4 people were killed after flash flooding emergency had responders rushing to rescue trapped residents. Elwin Lopez reports.
Tonight, torrential rain sparking deadly flash flooding and scores of rescues across parts of the South. In Alabama, at least 4 people killed, including a 4-year-old girl, all in cars swept away by floodwaters.
That is insane.
In the Birmingham area, a flash flood emergency trapping families inside their homes. The National Weather Service calling it a particularly dangerous situation.
Last night, the city of Hoover experienced unprecedented intense rainfall.
More than a foot of rain pummeling the region, falling as fast as 5 inches an hour. Water also inundating this grocery store near the Florida border. And now storms are pushing east, washing out this road in North Carolina.
This culvert basically has washed all the way down the creek. That is the force of this water.
At least one county there now under a state of emergency.
Elwin, thank you. Let's bring in Rob Marciano now. Rob, more rain is on the way for those hard-hit areas, and now the system's moving north. Can you time that out for us?
Well, the problem is, Phil, it's moving so slowly, and that's why the rainfall hasn't moved much, and it's been raining over the same areas, and that's why we've gotten nearly a foot of rain in some places. So flash flood watches remain up in some of the areas that got flooded today. That's the Florida Panhandle, that's Georgia, that's the Carolinas, especially near the mountainous areas there, and near the Smokies, Asheville included. We could see some issues as this system slowly makes its way to the coast. Then it actually becomes more of a coastal low during the day tomorrow for heaviest rains in the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic through the Delmarva and Virginia, and then by Sunday morning it crawls up the East Coast and begins to spread rain in from D.C. up through New York City. A couple of strong fronts coming into the west with heavy rainfall for the northwest and heavy mountain snow for the Intermountain West. We'll take this pile up as we get into the middle of fall now. It's beneficial stuff as we've had a pretty dry stretch here. And the outlook for the next 6 to 10 days, below average across parts of the west with that rain and snowfall. And in response to that, above normal temperatures for much of the east for the next 6 to 10 days. So even though we're getting into the middle of fall, it's not going to feel quite like fall for everybody. Phil, back over to you.
Absolutely, Rob. Thank you. When we come back, the dramatic developments in the investigation into that oil spill. This as we get a new look at video of the gash in that pipeline. Also, the 18 former NBA players charged with defrauding the NBA's health care plan out of millions of dollars. But first, 3 years after the deadliest, most destructive fire in California history, meet so-called climate nomads, part of an increasing number of people forced out of their homes because of climate change.
The mysterious boyfriend. What does he even do over there? Tell me everything.
You'll be okay. No one knows about us.
He's the chief executive and she's a kid.
You have committed multiple federal crimes.
I want to talk to my lawyer. The White House disposed of me like a piece of trash. And they will do the same to you.
Impeachment, American Crime Story. Tuesdays at 10, only on FX. Available now on demand.
The world-famous Chippendales.
That's when it just gets really dark, really quick.
You would have never thought Chippendales would be surrounded with murder.
Let me tell you the part you don't know, because nobody has ever heard the real facts.
Success can go murderously wrong.
2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
This is American history. A violent white mob, a brutal attack, 300 black Americans killed right here in America. Now, it is time to uncover Tulsa's buried truth. The gripping story brought to light in a new podcast from ABC News. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
sex, gambling, fraud, betrayal, and murder. Cutthroat Inc., the podcast. A family on a mission to find their son. A year's worth of conversations with the killer. Cutthroat Inc. Subscribe for free now on your favorite podcast app. Hours. Assault on the Capitol. The ABC News original. Exclusively on Hulu. Now streaming. Now with so much on the line, more Americans are turning to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight than any other program across all of television.
Welcome back. Tonight, 2 Navy members are being treated for minor injuries after the USS Connecticut, an underwater attack submarine, struck an unidentified object. The sub was operating in international waters in the Pacific. Officials say the vessel's nuclear propulsion plant and spaces were not affected and remain fully operational, though it's not clear just yet what the sub struck underwater. Tonight, residents of Paradise, California are still recovering 3 years after the deadliest fire in California history, which all but wiped their town off the map. The fire creating a group of resilient so-called climate nomads forced to adapt to the new reality of fire season in California. Arcana Whitworth traveled to Paradise, where those who returned home have now gained a new appreciation for what home means.
The deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history, the Camp Fire, all but wiped the town of Paradise off the map.
It's bad. Watch out! Watch out!
3 years later, many of the 27,000 people displaced by the fire are still unable to return. Part of a growing group of so-called climate nomads forced to reckon with nature, upending their lives and destroying their homes.
A lot of their friends have left and not come back, which is kind of hard for them. But it's just, this is where home is.
For Jed and Kayla, keeping their 3 boys near their school was key. But with nearly every building in town destroyed, they had nowhere to go.
What were your conversations like with your schoolmates when you're living in your tent? What were you talking to your friends about when you were at school?
I didn't really talk to much people when we were living in tents. I kind of just avoided people as much as possible.
You avoided people?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, we lived in tents.
And you didn't like talking about that?
Initially living in various hotels for months, Jed's plumbing tools were destroyed in the fire, their earning potential at an all-time low, and then insurance money running dry. The family resorting to living in the wilderness, just a tent over their heads.
During that fire season, the grades dipped down where there's D's and F's, but I'm proud of them. Before the end of the school year, they pulled them up.
No, you got A's and B's. I was super proud. They're doing homework by lantern light.
Braving freezing temperatures and snowstorms.
I woke up and I was beating the snow off the tarps and off the tents, and I heard the boys muttering something, and I crawled out, and their tent had collapsed on them because of the snow.
Christine Hansen had also lived in Paradise.
Well, I've lived here 25 years.
25 years?
Yeah. It's my favorite place in the whole world.
She also escaped the flames, as did most of her house. But the damage from the mold and toxins so significant, she can't move back.
So you had to have all these windows replaced already?
Yes, they melted and my big ones all melted.
Delayed by fights with the insurance company and contractors that are overworked, she doesn't know when she'll get home.
And you found yourself living with your parents in Chico.
I am so lucky. There were 57,000 people all looking for a place to live in 3 hours. So I was so fortunate that my parents do live in town.
From our perspective, as a consumer group, climate change has not been kind to our constituency.
Amy Bach of United Policyholders says very often it's harder for standing home survivors to reach a claim at all with their insurance company.
More hurricanes and wildfires that cause their customers to make claims, the more they want to get rid of the customers that are likely to file claims.
In 2019, 67,000 people won a class action lawsuit against PG&E, California's largest utility, in a multi-billion-dollar settlement. But as of September, over 75% of claimants are still waiting for a payout.
I've heard the answers and the excuses, and they don't get very far with me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
it's time to settle up and pay the people.
Stephen Murray has been in a battle since the fire to rebuild his home, raising his 1-year-old daughter in the back of his truck.
Come here, baby girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now he puts his energy into helping others embarking on a similar battle, taking his family along with him.
If you're up here, you need anything, come on up. Everything's free.
We drove 100,000 miles taking survivors all over the United States, and so that was her first year of life. Then COVID hit. I took her to breakfast for the first time this week.
Like those who live in Greenville, a town recently destroyed by the Dixie Fire.
I want people to know what they're about to go through. Living in a trailer is not that much fun, especially with a family.
Along with gas, water, and food, he has delivered 125 propane tanks to residents in Greenville, and he has plans for more.
There wasn't an option to leave. There was, but it wasn't in my cards to leave.
Home never changes for some. They return, they rebuild. But others are forced to start over somewhere else. And according to researchers at Chico State, they say many are limited by income and the amount of available, affordable housing.
It doesn't exist in a lot of places in California, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of exodus from the state overall.
These researchers have been documenting where people displaced from the Camp Fire have gone.
Did people who were forced to leave from the Paradise Fire end up in all 50 states?
Yes, actually, just checked that this morning that there's survivors in every state.
They say their research demonstrates the range of outcomes that climate refugees can experience.
For people who are looking for affordable housing, it's almost hard to escape moving to one of those kinds of areas. Very little of California, if you look at the entire state, is completely free and clear of fire risk.
After losing nearly everything they owned, Jed and Kayla finally found a place to rent near the old home as another record-breaking fire season threatens the West Coast.
Was there ever a thought in your mind that maybe you don't come back here?
They were raised most of their life in Paradise, so they felt the connection. So it was like we wanted to move, but it wasn't really about me or him. It was about them.
It's a beautiful example of how parents sacrifice for their kids. Our thanks to Kana tonight. And still ahead here on Prime, the fireworks this week in the trial of Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes. Our Rebecca Jarvis is here to break it all down for us. Also tonight, the move by Netflix in response to thousands of fans of the show Squid Games, calling a phone number shown on the hugely popular TV show. And why you may want to get going on your Christmas shopping now. We go by the numbers on a possible toy shortage. But first, our tweet of the day. Happy birthday to Desmond Tutu. He turned 90 today.
The world-famous Chippendales.
That's when it just gets really dark, really quick.
You would have never thought Chippendales would be surrounded with murder.
Let me tell you the part you don't know, because nobody has ever heard the real facts.
Success can go murderously wrong.
2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Please begin.
This is the testimony of Elizabeth Holmes, the Stanford dropout who appeared poised to change the world but didn't.
Her fall from grace was spectacular.
Elizabeth is finally going to trial.
This case will probably go down in Silicon Valley history.
But to this day, Elizabeth maintains her innocence. We'll take you inside the courtroom. If history is any indication, Elizabeth Holmes is not going down without a fight. Follow The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial, wherever you get your podcasts.
The mysterious boyfriend. What does he even do over there? Tell me everything.
You'll be okay. No one knows about us.
He's the chief executive and she's a kid.
You have committed multiple federal crimes.
I want to talk to my lawyer.
The White House disposed of me like a piece of trash. And they will do the same to you.
Impeachment, American Crime Story. Tuesdays at 10, only on FX. Available now on demand.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to the shipping crisis, which is causing empty store shelves and longer delivery times. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the impact specifically on America's toy industry. by the numbers. As we head into that all-important holiday season, 85% of the world's toys are made in China, which of course means they are shipped here to the U.S. And the cost of shipping containers is up 6-fold from last year alone, according to the AP. $20,000 is now the cost of a shipping container. That's up from about $3,000 just last year. So let's take this for instance, a toy like the Tonka truck. Shipping alone now costs $11 per toy, when in a typical year it was about $1.75 per truck. As a result, the toy maker decided to leave some behind in China until shipping costs can come down. Also, toys that typically take 4 to 6 weeks to ship from China now take about 16 weeks to arrive in the U.S., and that's before they're shipped out to stores. It's a big hit for the $33 billion U.S. toy industry, which somewhat surprisingly enjoyed a 17% growth in sales during the pandemic when all parents looked for new ways to entertain their kids at home. But this holiday season could be make or break for toy makers, since about 70% of sales are made in the last quarter of the year, and much of that happens during the holidays. We still have a lot to get to here on Prime. The mayor of America's largest city under fire tonight, accused of treating his police detail like a concierge service. Fast food giant Burger King adding another plant-based item to its menu. And our conversation with the youngest American ever to go to space, what she says about her incredible journey to the cosmos. But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
It's an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Hug you. Yeah. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move back. Let's move back. We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Flagrantly unconstitutional. That's what a federal judge deemed the strictest abortion law in the nation before blocking the state of Texas from enforcing it for now. In a 113-page opinion, the judge calling the abortion ban an offensive deprivation of an important right after the Justice Department sued Texas to challenge it. The law bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy with no exception for rape or incest. It also gives private citizens the right to sue anyone who aids and abets an unlawful abortion.
This is the justice we have been seeking for weeks. We reached out to some of the patients that we had on a waiting list to come in to have abortions today.
In a statement, White House officials call this an important step forward, but also say there's much more to go in the battle over abortion rights.
18 former NBA players have been charged in a $4 million scheme to defraud the league's health plan. Prosecutors say they submitted false claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental treatments they never received. Former players including Terrence Williams, Sebastian Telfair, Glenn Davis, and Darius Miles.
One of the charged defendants, Gregory Smith, submitted a claim to the plan stating that he received IV sedation, root canals, and crowns on 8 teeth at a dentist's office in Beverly Hills on December 20, 2018, at a total cost of almost $48,000. But Smith was nowhere near Beverly Hills or even in the state of California on December 20, 2018. Travel records, email, and publicly available box scores show that he was playing professional basketball in Taiwan that week.
A scathing 47-page report out Thursday from New York City's Department of Investigation claiming Mayor Bill de Blasio used his security detail like a concierge service. Authorities say the mayor used police assigned to him for all kinds of personal errands like driving his son, helping his daughter move out of her apartment, and checking on his personal property in Brooklyn.
It's not appropriate use of security detail resources to have them checking on his personal property.
The mayor firing back.
There's a number of claims in this report, and there's many inconsistencies and inaccuracies.
He defended his decision to protect his family, saying he was advised to do so by security experts.
I'm honored to be the mayor of this city, but my first responsibility is as a father and a husband. And so I think of the safety of my family all the time.
The agency says the mayor has also failed to reimburse the city the more than $300,000 his security details spent on travel outside of New York City during his unsuccessful run for president in 2019.
Netflix making some changes to its #1 show.
It's called Squid Game, a dystopian drama produced in South Korea. The problem is it includes a certain phone number, and it's the real number of a man in South Korea. He's getting up to 4,000 calls per day now.
Netflix will now edit the number out.
The Burger King is adding a new menu item to his kingdom, Impossible Nuggets. The fast food giant expanding its partnership with Impossible Foods, testing the plant-based chicken substitute as an 8-piece order, available starting October 11th in select markets. The launch comes 2 years after Burger King released the Impossible Whopper. Burger King is now the first major fast food chain to use the new meatless chicken alternative, although the company notes it may not be suitable for strict vegans. They're fried in oil used for meat and cheese.
Tonight, new developments in the investigation into that massive oil spill off the coast of Southern California. The company operating the ruptured pipeline is now under criminal investigation as divers have reached that ruptured pipeline. For the first time, we are seeing what it looks like. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman reports.
Tonight, authorities launching a criminal investigation into how tens of thousands of gallons of oil leaked into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Orange County. This, as newly released video, provides a close-up look at the pipeline's 13-inch slit, about 100 feet underwater. But 6 days after the spill, questions and frustration mounting.
Do you think the public is getting the answers it needs from the federal government and from this oil company?
Listen, Matt, the public wants answers. My constituents want answers. We need to get to the bottom of this. How did it happen? How did it go undetected for so long?
The Coast Guard chasing all leads, including whether a massive cargo ship's anchor may have snagged a nearly mile-long section of the concrete-encased steel pipe. Authorities confirming that they boarded this ship late on Wednesday, the 1,000-foot-long Rotterdam Express, at the port of Oakland. The Associated Press reporting the ship was anchored near the pipeline around the time of the spill, but late today, its operator saying the ship never passed over the pipeline and that it is no longer under investigation. Amplify Energy not attending today's news conference, but the Coast Guard saying the pipeline operator is still part of the unified response.
Matt Gutman joins us now. Matt, how many simultaneous investigations into this oil spill are happening right now?
By my count and my understanding, Phil, there are at least 6. These are by state and federal agencies and by the Orange County DA, who is actually launching a criminal investigation. And that explains why, to some degree, officials have been so tight-lipped about exactly how this disaster unfolded. Here are the things we still don't know, and there are a lot. Exactly how the leak happened, how many gallons of oil have leaked, what caused the leak, are there other ships involved, did the oil company know that it had a leak? All of these questions remain unanswered, but we are promised that in the coming days they are going to start rolling those answers out. Phil.
Yeah, certainly a lot to be investigated. Matt, thank you. Switching gears to the ongoing fraud trial of Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes in California. We can't bring cameras into the court, that's rule, but we can bring in our own resident expert, ABC's Rebecca Jarvis, creator, host of the award-winning podcast, The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial. Rebecca, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, so we are now 6 weeks into this trial. You're following it closer than anyone we know. What are the most important points the prosecution has made so far?
So the biggest challenge here is the complexity of this. This is blood testing. It is a very scientific process. And what the government has been doing over the course of these 6 weeks is really laying out what Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos, has told everyone from investors to Walgreens, their customer along the way, to patients and doctors, and really laying out for the jury to see the big distinctions between what the company and Elizabeth Holmes, the founder, was saying versus the reality along the way. We've heard from victims, people who got inaccurate blood tests along the way and who had very serious outcomes as a result of that, really traumatic experiences. We've heard from the lab director who saw everything firsthand. We've heard from employees. And of course, we've heard from General Mattis, who is one of the most famous members of the Theranos board, a board of many prestigious members from government.
We know that the mechanics of a trial can play a role in any trial. There have been some jury changes this week. What happened there?
Well, it's really interesting what we've seen with this trial. First of all, just finding jurors who hadn't heard of Elizabeth Holmes, who hadn't heard of Theranos, was a feat in and of itself. Now we have a jury. Very early on, a juror was dismissed because she said her employer wouldn't pay her. But just this week, a juror came forward, juror number 4, and told the court that she was having real emotional trauma around this. She is a practicing Buddhist, she told the court, and she said she just can't envision herself punishing anyone, putting somebody in jail. Now, the reality here is jurors do not decide on punishments. That is not their job. They decide on the guilt of the individual. But ultimately for her, she said it weighed heavily on her heart, and the court ended up replacing her with another juror. That juror, Phil, also said it weighs heavily on her heart, putting somebody in jail, seeing somebody have to face the music, if that's the case here. But it was decided in court that ultimately this juror replacement would stay for now. But this has been, as you say, there have been a lot of big changes and not necessarily the ones we were anticipating coming into this.
Interesting. Tell us how the defense has been performing in its cross-examination.
So we've seen a very aggressive and volatile defense over the last handful of days of the former lab director at Theranos, Dr. Adam Rosendorf, who was there at Theranos ahead of the big Walgreens launch. Remember, Theranos found its way into a number of Walgreens stores in Arizona and in California. So this is the lab director who was there, who said he warned Elizabeth ahead of the launch that the company wasn't ready to do this. The defense took a very, very aggressive tone in their cross-examination, and ultimately one of the objectives, according to the legal experts I spoke to, was to really diminish the lab director's responsibility, to suggest to the courtroom and to the jury in particular that he wasn't a reliable witness. There were a lot of exchanges that got very heated. Tensions ran hot in the courtroom. Ultimately, the legal experts I speak to do not believe that his role as a reliable witness was ultimately challenged or harmed by the challenges, but it certainly is more like a scene from Judge Judy than a scene from the Theranos trial that we've seen played out over the last handful of weeks.
Rebecca, several government witnesses so far. I'm curious, who do you think have been the most important?
Well, the lab director certainly has great importance to this because he was a very senior member with a scientific background who was on the ground, who says he warned Elizabeth, and there's paper trails of emails he sent to Elizabeth. So he's certainly important, but so are the people like the patients, the woman who believed because of inaccurate Theranos results that she was suffering from her 4th miscarriage in a row. This is the type of thing that really pulls on the heartstrings of the jury. And from the legal experts I speak to, a case like this that, again, can get so technical, it's so important to bring it back to the human cost. And when you hear from someone like this woman, Brittany Gould, who was on the stand and just had heartbreaking testimony around her inaccurate results, that is going to really land with the jury.
A lot to sort through. We are glad you are there to do it for us. Rebecca Jarvis, thanks so much for the reporting. And for more, be sure to catch The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial, wherever you get your podcasts. Finally tonight, after launching into orbit aboard SpaceX's Inspiration 4, Haley Arsenault is back with perhaps a more cosmic outlook on life. ABC's Will Gans caught up with America's youngest space pioneer.
couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And I did look at the planet and I thought, like, everyone I love is down there. That feeling of gratitude is going to stay with me forever.
After successfully completing the first all-civilian mission into orbit aboard SpaceX's Inspiration 4,
probably the most intimidating part of our whole mission was reentry. We hit a third of Earth gravity, and I turned to my crew members and I said, oh my gosh, this is intense. And we hadn't even gotten to like regular gravity. And then we got up to like 4.5 times gravity. But it was when those parachutes deployed, we all screamed. We were so excited. At that point, we knew that we were coming home safely.
Haley Arsenault receiving a hero's welcome home at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
Thank you all so much.
The place where she was treated as a 10-year-old battling bone cancer and where she now works as a physician's assistant. During her 72-hour trip in space, Haley organizing a video call with some patients back at St. Jude.
That was honestly one of the highlights of my entire life. One of the funniest questions was, are there cows on the moon? And
Haley and her 3 fellow crew members adjusting to life in space, from food fights.
There's like an art form to it. You like have to like just like do like this like gentle little throw.
To figuring out how to sleep in weightlessness.
I put my seatbelt around the sleeping bag so I didn't float off. And I put on Schitt's Creek like I do every night and fell asleep to that.
The mission of the Inspiration 4, always close to its crew members' hearts.
Whenever we hit the water, when we splashed down, Jared called Mission Control and said, Inspiration 4, mission complete. But that night, we were all together and we found out that we exceeded our $200 million goal. And it was so emotional because that was the moment where it was like, mission accomplished.
This photo inspiring so many of us back here on the ground.
What is the message that you would say to 10-year-old Haley?
You know, if I could tell 10-year-old Haley that she'd one day go to space, I wouldn't. Because I think that's the fun of life is you don't know what's coming. And that's the reason to hang in there, because there are such exciting things that are going to come your way that you don't even know.
Just incredible. Will, thank you. And before we go tonight, the image of the day, giant Galapagos tortoises Dolly, Polly, and Priscilla, perfectly named, explore their new home and enjoy some refreshing watermelon at the Zoological Society of London Zoo. Their new Giants of Galapagos exhibit has its public opening this Saturday. That's our show for this hour. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Phil Lipoff. Thanks for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, we are staying on top of a few things. The major earthquake rattling the most populated city in the world. Our Gio Benitez interviews the global superstar Ozuna on what last year has been like as a performer, most importantly as a father.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move back. Let's move back.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
It was an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive? Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
The ladies you love, the hottest topics happening now. There's only one place to find it all.
You guys are having the hard conversations. I love The View.
The most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
When you wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, darling, I'll be by your side. I'll be there by your side. I'll be everything you wanted. I'll be there by your side. If you need a light to shine in, hold up your hand, let the stars shoot again, let the light shine in through the dark.
Good morning, America.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
I'm Phil Lipoff. Thanks for streaming with us. We are monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour. Major news in the fight against COVID-19. Pfizer has asked federal regulators to grant emergency use authorization of its coronavirus vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. It comes as new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in the U.S. are on the decline. The Biden administration using the positive numbers as an opportunity to tout the success of vaccine requirements. All classes, and after-school activities have been canceled at a Texas high school as students recount the horrific scene inside that building as shots rang out yesterday. 3 students and a teacher, who's being hailed as a hero, were all injured. The alleged gunman is 18-year-old student Timothy Simpkins, who turned himself in, was released on bond. According to his parents, Timothy was a victim of bullying. The hunt for answers in that California oil spill continues. Authorities are launching a criminal investigation now into how tens of thousands of gallons of oil leaked into the Pacific Ocean. Newly released video provides a close-up look at the pipeline's 13-inch break. The Coast Guard says they are chasing all leads. Major news tonight out of Texas after a federal judge temporarily blocked that new restrictive abortion law that went into effect last month. The judge is ruling in favor of the Biden administration by stopping enforcement of the law, which bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. ABC's Rachel Scott reports from Texas.
Tonight in Texas, supporters of abortion rights cheering the federal judge's ruling, putting a temporary hold on the most restrictive abortion law in the land.
We reached out to some of the patients that we had on a waiting list to come in to have abortions today.
The law bans abortion after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. And it deputizes everyday citizens to file lawsuits against anyone they say aids or abets an abortion, from the doctor who performs the procedure to the Uber driver who takes the woman to a clinic. And if they win, they get a bounty of at least $10,000. But now as legal challenges make their way through the courts, Judge Robert Pittman putting the law on pause, ruling that because of its unprecedented and aggressive scheme, women have been unlawfully prevented from exercising control over their lives in ways that are protected by the Constitution. And since the law went into effect, most Texas women seeking abortions have had to leave the state to get one. I sat down with Maddie, a 21-year-old college student, the day before she traveled to Mississippi for the procedure.
At 6 weeks, you didn't even know you were pregnant.
Not even close. I was still living my life as regular and as carefree of a college kid as I could be.
She was on birth control, but by the time she took a pregnancy test and went to the doctor, it was too late to get an abortion under Texas law.
When she told me that I was measuring at 10.5 weeks, I just cried. I was heartbroken.
Did it sink in that moment that you would have to travel hundreds of miles to get an abortion procedure if you wanted to?
Yeah. The minute that they said how far along I was, I knew that this became 100 times more difficult, more expensive, and more time-consuming.
Maddie started calling around to clinics in nearby states.
How many clinics would you say you called altogether?
Easily 30, if not more.
And most of them were booked?
Yeah.
She finally got an appointment in Mississippi. But when she got there, she was told the state has a mandatory waiting period. She had to go back to Texas and return to Mississippi the following week for the actual procedure. 2 separate trips.
What message do you have for the Texas lawmakers who backed this law?
My body is not their property. they should have no say in what I do with myself. I am in charge of myself in every possible way.
Rachel Scott, thank you. Now to that new report from the Senate Judiciary Committee detailing former President Trump's attempts to enlist the Justice Department to help overturn the 2020 election. In a series of meetings that grew more and more contentious right up until January 3rd, a number of DOJ officials threatened to resign along with his own White House lawyers. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
In early January, Donald Trump attempted to use the Justice Department to effectively steal the presidential election, according to a new Senate report that documents this brazen attempt by Trump to stay in power.
Former President Donald Trump would have shredded the Constitution to keep his office in the presidency. There is no doubt in my mind.
Trump had been enraged when Attorney General Bill Barr said there was no widespread fraud in early December.
Well, he hasn't done anything, so he hasn't looked. They haven't looked very hard, which is a disappointment, to be honest with you.
After Barr left in mid-December, the report says Trump turned the screws on acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen to do what Barr had refused to do. But Rosen refused too. He told the Senate committee, he said to Trump, the Justice Department, quote, can't and won't just flip a switch and change the election. In response, Trump asked the DOJ, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. In late December, Trump turned to an obscure environmental lawyer at DOJ named Jeffrey Clark, who promised to do what Barr and Rosen would not do, declare without evidence that there was widespread voter fraud and to pressure states that Joe Biden had won to change their results. At a dramatic 3-hour Oval Office meeting on January 3rd, Trump said he wanted to fire Rosen and make Clark acting attorney general. Rosen told the committee, Trump said to him, quote, one thing we know is you, Rosen, aren't going to do anything to overturn the election. At the meeting, Trump was told that every senior DOJ official other than Clark would resign if he went through with his plan. White House counsel Pat Cipollone said he would resign too, saying Trump's plan amounted to a, quote, murder-suicide pact. And with that, Trump reluctantly backed down.
Jonathan Karl joins us now from Washington. And John, some of former President Trump's closest aides face a Thursday deadline to comply with subpoenas from the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack. Are they going to cooperate? What are you hearing?
It looks like, Phil, like they will not cooperate. We are told that a Trump lawyer has contacted at least some of those former Trump advisors to tell them not to testify, that they will fight in court to prevent the testimony. And a Trump spokesperson has said that President Trump will defend executive privilege. It's another way of saying not allowing his aides to testify. That said, sometimes things are not all that straightforward when it comes to matters related to Trump and the law. Trump himself gave an interview earlier this week where he said that he is mixed about this and doesn't really understand why his lawyers are telling people not to testify, because he did nothing wrong. So in that sense, he wouldn't mind his former aides going up and saying, we did nothing wrong. That said, I do not expect that these subpoenas will be complied with. I expect that we will see this battle waged in court as to whether or not those subpoenas can be enforced.
All right, John, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Now to the latest on a South Carolina murder mystery. Alex Murdaugh, whose wife and son were killed back in June, is now accused of taking millions of dollars from a wrongful death settlement. Amy Robach brings us the latest.
Another twist in that South Carolina unsolved double murder mystery, whose wife Maggie and son Paul were brutally murdered back in June, is now accused of honchoing a scheme to funnel millions of dollars that were supposed to be paid to the sons of his former housekeeper in a wrongful death lawsuit after she reportedly tripped over his dogs, hit her head, and passed away.
They were never told of the settlements. They were never told of the court hearings. They were never told of the disbursements.
According to court documents, Murdaugh allegedly worked with two of his friends, an attorney and a banker, to pocket money from the $4.3 million settlement, which should have gone to the family of his former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. The attorney for the housekeeper's family says they've seen a fraction of what they're owed.
They want to know what happened to the money. They have to answer for what they did. It is a tremendous stain on the justice system in our state. I'm confident that at the end of this, truth will always come out.
Now Murdaugh is also being sued by his former law firm, which was founded by his great-grandfather in the early 1900s.
Murdoch resigned from the firm in September after being accused of funneling money he allegedly stole from the firm and their clients into a bank account for his own personal use for years. The firm saying it wants to recover money he stole from the firm and clients of the firm. Murdoch's lawyer calling the lawsuit a very sad development, saying that Murdoch has pledged his full cooperation to the firm. According to his attorneys, Murdoch, who has been indefinitely suspended from practicing law, is currently in an undisclosed rehab facility battling opioid addiction.
All right.
He briefly left to face a judge last month after police say he hired a hitman and tried to stage his own murder on the side of a road with the intent of committing insurance fraud so his surviving son could collect his $10 million insurance policy.
If anyone wants to see the face of what opioid addiction does, you're looking at it.
Our thanks to Amy for that. We now turn to Jamie Lee Curtis, who is speaking out against plastic surgery in a new interview, saying it's wiping out generations of beauty fueled by the pressures of social media, which promotes unrealistic beauty standards. ABC's Ariel Reshef with the story.
Jamie Lee Curtis speaking out about the overwhelming pressure in Hollywood to undergo plastic surgery and blasting unrealistic beauty standards on social media.
I'm old. I beg your pardon. Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper.
The veteran actor, famous for roles in Freaky Friday and Halloween.
Goodbye, Michael.
Telling Fast Company she went under the knife herself more than 2 decades ago, saying, "It didn't work. It got me addicted to Vicodin. I'm 22 years sober now." Curtis taking aim at what she describes as the dangers posed by social media. The current trend of fillers and procedures and this obsession with filtering and the things that we do to adjust our appearance on Zoom are wiping out generations of beauty. The star adding, "Once you mess with your face, you can't get it back."
She was very honest about what impact it had on her self-esteem. And we need to start really looking deeply into how does this impact the self-esteem of our teenagers.
In 2019, Jamie Lee Curtis revealing why she first tried cosmetic surgery, telling Variety that she had what was called routine surgery after a cameraman said her eyes were too puffy. The star adding, "I was mortified and so embarrassed and had so much shame."
When celebrities start this conversation, we notice and we start to talk about it. And what they've really brought to light is that this is not just a problem for celebrities. It impacts celebrities, but it impacts each and every one of us.
Curtis joining the chorus of Hollywood A-listers like Halle Berry and Julia Roberts, pushing back against what they see as the industry's fascination with unattainable beauty.
The word that should evolve out of this conversation is authenticity. We really want to teach adolescents how to be authentic in themselves, not only in what they look like on the screen.
Our thanks to Ariel. We shift now to a warning about home heating prices expected to soar this winter by at least 30%. Becky Worley has tips on how to save while you stay warm.
The Gurney family of New York has been trying to conserve energy since the pandemic sent their utility bill sky high.
More cooking, more laundry, more heating, more electricity.
Exactly.
More of everything.
But even as they work to lower their electricity consumption, the cost to heat their home going up. The National Energy Assistant Directors Association predicting gas bills in the U.S. could rise up to 30% this winter.
Going forward this year, there are no signs of these prices coming down.
The Natural Gas Association of America telling GMA it does not expect shortages, but natural gas market prices are higher due to the economic recovery, strong natural gas demand from last winter, and slower than anticipated production. But back to the Gurneys. From January to March last winter, they said they paid roughly $2,300 to heat their home. That means this year it could go up $700, which would make their bill around $3,000 for the same period. So beyond putting on a sweater and lowering the thermostat temperature, some saving strategies. A smart thermostat like the Nest lets you program in lowered temps at specific times using your smartphone. The company estimates it saves users 10 to 12% on heating costs each year. And now Amazon getting into the game with its Alexa-compatible thermostat, which will be on the market in November. A simpler fix, the U.S. Energy Department says swapping out an old dirty filter on your furnace can save between 5 and 15% on your heating bill. And finally, the Natural Gas Association says if customers have trouble paying their natural gas bills, there are programs that can help.
The low-income Home Energy Assistance Program. This is the federal program that helps people pay their energy bills if they don't have enough money to do so. But it's not just for poor people. A family can earn up to $40,000 a year and still qualify.
Becky, thank you. Still to come tonight, the global superstar reflecting on a challenging year as a father and as a performer. Gio Benitez talks with Ozuna in a conversation you won't want to miss.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're going to move back. Let's move back.
We're surrounded by people
Squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
We want to know how you say.
Good morning, America! Good morning, America! Can't start my day without GMA.
Now, with America reopening, we want you to show us how you say.
Good morning, America.
So get together with friends, family.
Good morning, America!
Good morning, America.
And share with us at #MyGMA how you say.
Good morning, America!
And you might see yourself right here on GMA.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Hug you.
Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
This is American history, a violent white mob, a brutal attack, 300 black Americans killed right here in America. Now, it is time to uncover Tulsa's buried truth, the gripping story brought to light in a new podcast from ABC News, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Sex, gambling, fraud, betrayal, and murder. Cutthroat Inc., the podcast. A family on a mission to find their son. A year's worth of conversations with the killer. Cutthroat Inc. Subscribe for free now on your favorite podcast app. Hours, Assault on the Capitol, the ABC News original, exclusively on Hulu, now streaming. Now with so much on the line, more Americans are turning to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight than any other program across all of television.
Welcome back. We are tracking several international headlines at this hour. A powerful 5.9 earthquake, as you can see here, shook the Tokyo area, causing buildings to sway, but thankfully there were no immediate reports of damage or injuries. The Tokyo Electric Power Company said about 250 homes in downtown Tokyo were out of power. Despite those scary moments, officials have said there was no danger of a tsunami. 3 are dead as a result of forest fires in Argentina. More than 39,000 acres have been impacted over the span of 5 days. According to foreign media outlets, local officials are blaming strong wind and high temperatures for those fires. And from blistering fires to flood dining in Thailand, a restaurant owner who was already struggling because of the pandemic decided to turn the rising tide into an opportunity. Take a look at this. Instead of closing her doors, she decided to welcome customers who wanted to feel the floodwaters in between their toes and then some. Videos, of course, have gone viral on social media of customers sitting on drenched chairs taking mouthfuls of food as long-tail boats buzz by. Turning back to Washington, where the Senate has agreed to a short-term deal to raise the debt ceiling with enough funds for the Treasury until early December. 11 Republicans sided with Democrats in a key procedural vote. Lawmakers will now have to revisit the debt limit issue in a matter of weeks, as they also grapple with getting an agreement on a deal to keep the government open beyond the end of the year. And finally, he is a global superstar who has had everyone from Cardi B to Doja Cat collaborating with him. Now, for the first time, Ozuna sits down with our Gio Benitez to discuss what this last year has been like as a performer, and most importantly for him, as a father.
Reggaeton superstar Ozuna has been waiting a long time for this moment. Backstage with his wife in Los Angeles at the Global Citizen Festival, he reflects on a challenging year as a father and as a performer.
I need that energy because I need my fans. I need, like have the connected 1 year, 2 years in my house. I'm thinking like it's my first show. I'm good vibe with my team, with my band, and see the people, see another artists.
Ozuna thrives off the energy from the audience and his fans. But here in New York City, Ozuna is just as at home, performing his new hit La Funka for us, as he is in front of a crowd.
Ozuna, we're here at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, legendary here. Started by Puerto Rican artists who wanted to give a voice to young Latino singers. What does it feel like for you as the son of the island?
La real, me siento súper contento, súper agradecido, más con mi público, porque son los que me han hecho lo que soy hoy en día realmente. Representar la música latina y representar a mis latinos es lo más que amo.
Tell me about La Funka.
La Funka es un nuevo nombre a un nuevo ritmo. Es una mezcla de soca con Brazilian funk, con un poco de afrobeat. Si mezclas estos tres ritmos, pues simulan la funka, que es el baile, la alegría, la energía.
That joy and energy in his music has quickly made Ozuna one of the best-selling Latin artists of all time, racking up 2 Latin Grammy Awards and dozens of Billboard chart-topping hits. Well known for his reggaeton hits like Baila, 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 as well as his collaborations with artists like the Black Eyed Peas on the chart-topping Mamacita. Now the rest of the world is catching on to what Latin America has known for quite a while. In 2019, he was featured as one of Time's most influential people and even overtook Justin Bieber as the artist with the most music videos with 1 billion views on YouTube, following his smash hit Taki Taki with Selena Gomez and Cardi B, and landing him a spot in the Guinness World Record Book. A song, he tells us, was written in just 10 minutes.
Yo escribo la música con gente como tú, tu historia. De momento eres amigo mío y me cuentas tu historia. Me dice, man, mira, me va mal aquí, mano, quisiera hacer esto, mira, una pareja que tuve y me fue mal. Entonces yo me guardo eso en la mente y voy al subconsciente cuando voy a escribirlo y digo, hablé con el amigo mío y este era el tema y busco los temas.
¿Y es una cosa que puedes hacer en 5 minutos o 3 meses?
Eso es así, todo depende del día, de cómo tú te levantes.
So some days it takes you 5 minutes to write a song.
Yeah, I'm doing Taki Taki in 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then you got a hit.
And the hit.
Ozuna's superstar status is a far cry from his humble beginnings in Puerto Rico, where he was raised by his grandmother.
You were raised with your grandmother, la abuela.
Sí.
I'm an abuela's boy.
Me too.
So what did she teach you in San Juan?
Pues mira, Mi abuelita es dominicana, realmente. Vive en San Juan, Puerto Rico. Al tener ese complemento de dominicana y yo ser boricua, mi mamá puertorriqueña, mi papá dominicano, y esa mezcla, pues hacen que esas dos culturas latinas te hagan fiel creyente de Papá Dios, te hagan fiel creyente del trabajo continuo, te hagan fiel creyente del sacrificio, te hagan fiel creyente de tantas cosas.
Osuna draws on that heritage and his family as inspiration for his music.
My music, like, is for everybody, like, para toda la familia, para toda la gente, para que se identifiquen por momentos. Hay momentos tristes, hay momentos alegres, hay momentos de discoteca, hay momentos de soledad en tu carro, hay momentos de pensar. Todo momento en un ser humano tiene una canción de Osuna y por eso me identifico mucho y me gusta mucho escribir con sentido, con poder verbal.
That connection with his fans is evident on and off the stage. His fame is a coronation long in the making.
They're calling you the new king of reggaeton, el nuevo rey de reggaeton. What do you think about that title?
Pues mira, realmente es el público, son los fanáticos que te hacen, te posicionan y te ponen donde tú te mereces estar. Yo hago música con amor y con el corazón. Amo el reggaetón, amo la música urbana, amo el son de Puerto Rico y me encanta representar esta música.
Next up for the star, a movie about his own life and fame.
La gente, mucha gente no sabe el tipo de persona que soy, el tipo de persona que soy detrás del micrófono, detrás del artista. Pues habla de mi vida, ¿sabes? Lo que estábamos hablando, nadie sabe todo lo que uno tiene que pasar antes de ser famoso, todo lo que hemos tenido que trabajar para lograr un poquito antes de ser famoso, porque en ese momento no se soñaba que se iba a lograr tanto. Era como que, pues, si logro hacer $100 el viernes, pues está bien, porque es para la leche de mi nena.
Pues la abuela, she did it right. She did it right.
I told you.
Thank you, my man.
Really humbled as well. Gio, thank you. That's our show for tonight. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Phil Lipoff. Thanks for streaming with us.
It was an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was